Well, the Chiefs are unfortunately in a not so good position right now. The Chiefs, yesterday, they were officially eliminated from postseason contention for the first time since the 2014-2015 season. And things do not look bright in Kansas City, at least in terms for the remainder of the season. So I'll have my dad explain what's going on.
So, as everybody knows, it was going to be a hard obstacle to go ahead and get there, guys. It was going to be a very, very hard obstacle. Yesterday, there was a lot. You had the Bills who won, the Jaguars that won, the Texans won. The Colts did not win. However, the Chiefs, if they lost, they were going to be out of it. They actually played a heart and soul game yesterday, guys. They were playing really good. Unfortunately, Mahomes injured, tore his ACL. He'll be out. A season of really turbulent everything that just really didn't gel together came out. So we'll break it down. Each of us have 5 different reasons why the Chiefs did not make it this year. And this year was just kind of a really bad year going forward. So we'll start with number 1 on you, and then we'll come over to me.
And I'm not gonna be listening in like a big chronological. I mean, I'm gonna be listing my reasons, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is my first actual reason. But if you know what I mean, we'll start off with my first reason on why I think the Chiefs missed the playoffs. The Chiefs missed the playoffs because of injuries. Injuries has pretty much been the biggest thing. Like in week 1, they lost Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy is one of their better receivers when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've also had, I think, an injury on Isaiah Pacheco.
Correct.
They had injuries on that. And yesterday's game, there was just so many injuries on Kansas City. It wasn't even funny. Like, there was one that I think for a moment, Rashee Rice was injured in yesterday's game. But that was actually an unnecessary roughness play on Jefferson with the Chargers, which he actually got disqualified from the game. So, and then as you all saw yesterday about the ACL tear from Patrick Mahomes, you want to know the sad part too? I literally, like, how the Chargers were going after the Chiefs, as if it kind of looked like a bit. The Chargers were going after the Chiefs. They almost pretty much played dirty, I kind of think, in my opinion. But it almost got to a point where I foreshadowed saying, like, watch, next they're going to go after Mahomes. And sure enough, they pretty much did. And, Gardner Minshew, I thought, oh, he's going to be the Lord and Savior. But no, Gardner Minshew literally threw an interception. So, yeah.
The first thing I will go ahead and say what hurt them a lot this year was they were never in a rhythm scheme. Worthy getting injured. Injuries did play a big factor offensively and defensively. Players being out, Rice didn't come back till week 7 of the season. So that also played how they gelled together. They didn't look confident out there, guys. I would say team discipline, really. They didn't have a rhythm out there. This is a team that's usually built on a rhythm and a scheme. That rhythm and scheme did not rhyme all season long, offensively and defensively. So that would be the first thing I would really say there. You could really say injuries were a big factor defensively, and offensively that did not bring them to where they had to be a playoff contender or, really contend. Their division was really hard from the get-go, starting out there between the Broncos and the Chargers. As I said, that was going to be a big division this year. They were going to get better. They have Harbaugh as their head coach, and Justin Herbert has done great things for the Chargers this year. Same thing with Bo Nix in Denver. They've done really, really good. But I would say, first thing first, injuries really did play a big thing. Mahomes was never really even healthy to start the season as well. He had the knee that bothered him, and this was just the icing on the cake that really took him out. I don't think they were going to make the playoffs, even if he did play, guys. They could have probably tied it up, but I just don't think they were in there. Whatever.
All right, so my second reason on why I think the Chiefs missed the playoffs, I think what really kind of cost them, but even then, he wasn't really that good. Rashee Rice's 6-game suspension, like,
a distraction, yeah.
That was kind of, a couple of these reasons that I'm going to talk about is is going to be about distractions. And this was kind of the first one. So Rashee Rice got suspended to start the 2025 season. He was suspended 6 games. And, I think the Chiefs, if I'm right here, they were, I believe, 3-3 when they got Rashee Rice back, because they started off 0-2, and then they went up to 2-2. Then I believe their next loss was against Jacksonville, and then they beat some other team that they beat. But unfortunately, Rashee Rice, if you don't know, he's like one of, if not the best receiver for Kansas City. And for him to be suspended 6 games, they could have had some help. If they would have had some Rashee Rice help early in the season, they could have won at least another game or 2. But then again...
You don't know.
But then again...
You can always project that they're going to win.
And then, like I said, but then again, even with him being back, he has... the offense, that's kind of another piece of the offense that just hasn't found a good, solid, consistency, if you know what I mean.
The fourth reason, salary cap issues. People wanted to see some splashes and everything. Guys, it's how it works in football. It's how it works. Many people don't realize the Chiefs are facing a big deficit this season, next season. So the 2026 season, when we go into it, they are facing that same deficit going in even larger. They don't have a lot of room to make splashes, to get some high-profile names and everything. So they're working with who they existingly have, hoping those parties can go ahead and work and gel with them. They couldn't go out and make a splash for a star receiver or another a linebacker defensive. They actually have very good talent on the field. It's how it was being able to be utilized on the field for everything. And unfortunately, when your cap space goes, you can't go out and make those splashes. You have to start restructuring contracts. So it becomes a distraction for the team, because a lot of people say, okay, well, Rice is out, so who do we bring in to do that? Well, even if they said Kadarius Toney coming back, they wouldn't have had the money to be able to bring him back just to salary cap spacing and everything. So they had to really dip in, restructure. Mahomes restructured his contract, so that would mean they would have to come in and ask others, which others do generously do, but how much of that you have. So you have bad contracts out there, and that really hurts a lot as well, too.
All right. My third reason why, and honestly, I'm going to take that number 3 for a second, because the number 3, meaning they haven't really done a 3-game winning streak this year. That's kind of another thing. Their most was only 2 in a row, and that's it. Like I said, because I started up with the 0-2, and then the 2-2. They even things up at 2-2 to end off September, so okay. Then they lost, like I said, they had that loss, 2-3. Then it was 3-3. Honestly, maybe they had a 5-game winning streak. I could be thinking of something else, but because then they lost. Back in October, November, they were 5-5. It was more like November. But I noticed November, it got really tough for Kansas City. Those losses started piling up more. You had the Bills. They couldn't beat good teams. Almost like one of those teams where they couldn't even really beat the high-powered teams. Like the Broncos, they were just so dominant. They took the lead for first in the overall AFC. Then you start. I think the most embarrassing loss for the Chiefs this year was losing to the Cowboys. I think
really though. Not in my opinion.
And to be fair, that was a high-scoring game anyways. It was a high-scoring game on Thanksgiving. That was probably game of the day on Thanksgiving. But then when you lose to the Texans, that's another nail. That's a nail biter. And if by anything, this is the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era that they actually lost 3 in a row. So that's not the best we've seen out of Kansas City.
Part of the problem as well too, and you can put this into the double take. They regressed. So Patrick Mahomes under Matt Nagy, and that will be the next portion of everything that I talk about. But they regressed severely this year, offensively and defensively. They had a damaged O-line. he did not have the pass protection in there, guys. Say it whatever you want to say. He did not have pass protection. He was running out there. They had no run game. So a battered offensive line that you were just allowing, and I hate to say it this way and everything, the Philadelphia Eagles during the Super Bowl of last year, they opened that and showed teams. They had 9 years for teams pretty much to get in there and study film. And the Philadelphia Eagles kind of broke down, and then teams sat there and said, okay, you know what? This is what we have to do. We have to get that pressure on. But if you look defensively as well, too, defensively, that defensive line, they had their injuries, but then they were not able to create those turnovers, fumbles, interceptions, anything of that nature. So offensive line, defensive line really hurt a lot, guys. And when you let somebody get under the pressure, Mahomes, we relied on him to see a lot of running. That's wear and tear on a body that he's usually not able to do. But this is the third year of regression, so that's huge for Mahomes. He has to get better, not regress, and that's a huge concern going on there. However, he regresses because that offensive line continues to get battered, and unfortunately that's the double take. Your offensive line, your defensive line, it was just... it wasn't where it needs to be or excel to be, so that would be the third key.
All right, my fourth reason, the fourth and second to last reason on why the Chiefs have kind of been going down south this year. And here's something we could definitely bring up here. One-score games. Last year, they were, I can't remember the math correctly, but I believe it was like 11-0.
They were 11-0
11-0
games.
Last year, in one-score games, they were undefeated in those games. This year, they have, they've just sucked. I believe they're 1-7, I believe,
yes.
in one-score games. They have been terrible in one-score games. And I did the math last night. Since the Chiefs were 15-2 last year, they had a dominant 15-2. If they would have lost all those one-score games, the Chiefs would have been 4-13. They would have been 4-13 because if you take 2 and then you stack on those 11, but if you convert those 11 one-score games into losses, the Chiefs would have been 4-13. They would have been one of the worst teams in the league on paper.
Yep.
And so that's just a shot. So you could even go as far as to say the 2024-25 season, despite their 15-2 record, was regression because 15-2, but only winning, but 11 of those 4 wins was one-score games. That could have very as well been another one of those disaster seasons. So that's another thing I wanted to point out too when it comes to Kansas City.
My next thing, which would be number 4, and the second reason really why they didn't, penalties. If you look at the Chiefs, they rank middle of where they sit in penalties. They got a lot of pass interference calls defensively and a lot of unnecessary roughness penalties. Those are huge. They carry on a lot. They had games where they had over 100 yards in penalties. Guys don't realize that loses games. That shifts the momentum, the trajectory of everything, and that relies defensively. They have a lot of that going on, and really, that hurts the game, especially when you're on a drive that's doing so well that all of a sudden it keeps bringing back your yardage and makes that yardage go back to where it pushes you out of that touchdown. It's a confidence booster that helps the other team because it's allowing them to gain momentum to get into there. It fatigues your offense and it fatigues your defense. Now, I will also say, to be fair, there were a lot of calls that officiating could have done better on, but officiating doesn't lose the game. It's how you proceed to counteract those penalties and execute on those plays. Executing plays to counteract the penalties, to negate them, and pretty much neutralize them. And those are big. This year, the Chiefs didn't have that. You didn't really see the big passes. Unfortunately, after a penalty, it was really a confidence booster all the way around for this team, and that's what distracts as well, too.
And my fifth and final reason why this is what we're going to really be touching up on. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. This, I think, in my opinion, this is the biggest reason why. This is kind of like another distraction thing. I feel like they've been, the NFL has been, or not NFL, the Chiefs, and when it comes to Travis Kelce, they've been a little bit more, how should I say this?
Fixated on that?
They've been more hyper-focused on Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, oh, they're so love story. Yeah, there's another one going on with Stephon Diggs and Cardi B.
That's the new love story right there. She just had his baby. Congratulations to Stephon Diggs, who's tearing it up. And Travis Scott was at the game yesterday, guys, for the Patriots, and they lost.
Go Patriots. But anyways, to get back on track, if you notice, this all started in the 2023-24 season when they started, Fox was starting to go and focusing on the booth, and oh, look at this, Taylor Swift is in the booth. But then start showing on more and more and more. Oh, Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that, and they showed her cheering when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl 58. The Chiefs won.
And then they lost it last year.
And then they lost it.
Kelce.
Honestly, they haven't really shown her a lot this year.
I think they've kept a low profile of it.
I don't know. Maybe they should just start showing her more again, and then they'll win. But it's too late because they missed the playoffs. But yeah, that's kind of another big reason on why the Chiefs. That's just that very well could be a bigger distraction than the Rashee Rice 6-game suspension, than all that. So. This year, Travis Kelce himself, he's regressed. He, in the games, he is, dropping,
4 tip passes or 5 tip passes this year that have gone for fumble or for interceptions to the other team.
So, yeah, Travis Kelce has just regressed. That's in general, in stats and all that. So that's why I think the Chiefs' biggest problem.
I could point out, offensive coordinator changes and everything of that. But you make a great point. One of the things that really hurt was the off-field and on-field distractions. I think the media attention has really gotten to them. So last year, starting towards the playoffs, there was the whole fiasco. Oh, are the Chiefs being favored to win? They're getting these refs behind them. They're getting all this. And, Taylor Swift. They're winning because of Taylor Swift. And, they're trying to have this. However, if you looked a lot at the season, last year was about the three-peat. This year, it was about, hey, are they going to do better? How are they going to counteract to it and everything? Kelce just didn't look out there the same in other years. Okay, and I'm not trying to be in anything. I think they had too many media distractions this year. We hear that Taylor Swift is, engaged to Travis Kelce, which, congratulations. That's wonderful. However, there has to be a time when you're putting your personal and your business away. When your work. When you're business. The podcast gets a new deal. Kelce gets engaged. They open a restaurant in Kansas City, Missouri, Prime. We're seeing different clothing. We're seeing, and it's great to show this and everything, guys, but you're allowing this media to take it, and it makes money. The NFL makes money off of that, guys. I understand why they're doing it. So it can be, in a way, a PR stunt, which is a publicity stunt, marketing tool for the NFL. They're showing, Travis Kelce showing up in all this high fashion clothing. Patrick Mahomes in this high fashion clothing. That takes into you. And I'm going to tell you this right now, because they keep on doing comparisons between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. There's no comparison of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. And if there was a comparison, you really didn't see Tom Brady showing off fashion or anything of there out on the field. You didn't see him doing what you're seeing. And I understand it's a new age of, it's a new revolution of how things are done. But you really didn't see that out of Tom Brady if you're doing a comparison statistic. If you're going to try to compare him to Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey. You didn't see Gronkowski out there, doing all this high endurance, endorsing stuff. And I understand they had that. Another thing, and I know I try to keep politics out of it as well. Harrison Butker, he had his thing. And Harrison Butker, special teams was horrible as well, too. So you're seeing this in everything. I could put a list. I would say media was a big thing. When you set all these expectations, people expect you to have those expectations. You can't do that. And I think also as well too is the team discipline was just not there. They look flat-footed. Okay, and has anybody watched the movie Major League? Have you watched? You've watched Major League. Roger Dorn. Okay, and I know baseball is different than football, but Roger Dorn got this high celebrity status. The girl, the whole 9 yards. He got married. He settled down. This whole thing and everything, and he was afraid to take and dive for the ball and everything. You just really didn't see Kelsey in a technological. It looked confusing, but also teams figured out by watching tape. All they have to do is cover Kelsey, blitz Mahomes, and voila, we're going to go right through their O-line and take it out. So you can kind of mix all that, but then there was not the team discipline that was on the game for him. So that really affects them too. I think media really hurt a lot. And just a lot of things they both they did. And don't get me wrong, I love everything that Mahomes, Kelsey do on and off the field, but they put too much of their personal lives into it, and that's the problem, is personal life and work life are two different things. You got to learn how to separate those, and you can't have that in the workplace, and that really gets to you as well, too, because it sets a higher expectation for you. So that would be, again, that could be the number one root cause of things, but then I can also add all those other things in. Offensively, they regressed. Defensively, they regressed. Special teams was horrible. There was a penalty every other drive. So that really hurt as well, too. You can add all those factors in, and voila. I'm going from there. Now, so that would be the top things of it. Now, I want to go into further talk about everything that I've seen on social media going forward about it. So I know Dylan doesn't do social media like I do, but I've seen so much personal hate towards the Chiefs that it's not even funny, guys. It reminds me of what,
with the Patriots.
With the Patriots, guys. This is not how sports should excel or anything of that nature. I first and foremost, I cannot stand, and I am appalled by the amount of hate that people are going out saying for Patrick Mahomes' injury. There's no place for that in sports of anything. Any injury of anything of that, I don't care if you hate him or whatever, that's wonderful. Whatever. However, to go on social media and disparage that is just 100% abysmal of any way. It is sickening to even see out there. Injuries are not, nobody get an injury, it shouldn't happen. People should be better sports about things. It's about, one thing to another. This is the same way people acted with the Patriots. And any, team that has kind of ran. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Terry Bradshaw made something very, very, mentioning yesterday. People hated them, and they went back and they won 2 Super Bowls. Right, they went on to win the Super Bowl 2 years later and everything after injuries. But that being said, to take and say, you're happy. Nobody should be happy if somebody getting injured. I just don't foresee that. That's not good sportsmanship. That's bad sportsmanship and personal conduct. And I understand, I might get lambasted for that and everything too. However, next thing, a lot of people are sitting there on social media saying, fire Andy Reid. The guy has literally won you 9 consecutive divisional titles, 5 AFC championships, brought you to the playoffs 11 years, or 10 years, my fault.
Won 3 Super Bowls.
Won 3 Super Bowls out of 5. And you are saying to fire the one guy that brought you there. Okay? Do I agree there should be some changes? There needs to be some big changes. Okay? And here's the next thing I'm hearing on social media as well, too. Okay? So, Andy Reid is praising his coordinators. Oh, well, he should be... It's the same old excuse. No head coach is going to go on national television in front of the media and disparage any discrepancies that are external or internal within their organization. They stand behind their staff, whether it's game 1, game 5, game 16, game 18, playoffs, no playoffs, whatever. They are not going to get on national television to the media and disparage their team. That is unethical, unprofessional of anything. And for that, everybody's saying to fire a guy that brought him to the Super Bowl, even though they lost last year, and say, oh, well, this is old Andy Reid or whatever, that is unethical to do. Look at Bill Belichick, and we're going to use that example because Bill Belichick went to the playoffs, guys. Bill Belichick had been there with Tom Brady. The last year he won the Super Bowl was 2019 with Tom Brady. And 2020, they hit the salary cap issues. They had an abysmal season in 2020, correct? Guess what happened 2021? Here he is. Okay? They negated that. Now, they allowed Belichick to resign and say, okay, well, this is our way. You don't fire a head coach that has given you that many faithful years of winning and say, oh, well, you had one bad season. Guess what? You're gone. We're replacing you. Who do you bring in? There's nobody out there that is better than what's on the market right now as a head coach. And I'm telling you that right now. You're not going to get Ben Johnson to leave. You're not going to get Jim Harbaugh to leave. You're not going to get Sean Payton to leave. Those are high-profile people. You're not going to get Mike Vrabel to leave because he's rebuilding. He's building what the Chiefs are going to have to go through and do again. That's what it goes through. So you go through these phases. You go through the salary cap issues and everything. And that's how that kind of works. But to say to get rid of Andy Reid, fire him, is appalling and absurd. You don't do that in the sport, especially to somebody that has carried him. I remember back before when there was Herm Edwards, there was Todd Haley, there was Romeo Crennel who came in, Brian Dable, all this stuff. I mean, if you want to go back to those years, that's great. But unfortunately, you just don't go to that. Now, off-season, there will probably be off-season moves. Do I think Nagy will be gone? He needs to go. I think, but who do you bring in to negate that, guys? You're not, me personally, I've been saying it. I never liked Nagy as the offensive coordinator, and that was my opinion. I didn't like Nagy, but you stick faithfully. Mahomes has regressed under Nagy. Now, people say, well, Nagy brought him to 3 Super Bowls. No, he didn't. Eric Bieniemy was a disciplined offensive coordinator. Two of the Super Bowl, 2 of them, or a couple of them, Nagy was the offensive or the senior offensive line assistant and the quarterback's coach. Eric Bieniemy was the head coach, or not the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator. There was 1 or 2 Super Bowls that Nagy was the offensive coordinator, and he won 1, lost 1. Both seasons, though, regressed. Both seasons, the one that they won against the 49ers the second time, and then the Philadelphia Eagles, which they lost. And then this year, severely to regression. So we've seen 3 years of regression out of Nagy. Now, is Spagnuolo coming back next year? I would love to hope so. However, he has ties to the area of the Giants. I would hope that the better half of Spags says, hey, you know what? I was a head coach once before. I didn't really do as well. I don't think the Giants are going to get any better next season. But they have a ton of money to spend, so that's beyond the... they've been kind of in that downfall for a long time, whoever they bring in. So that shows you about the organization. I think Spags could come back and say, hey, we had these injuries. We need to do better. But their defense was tired. Next up, Dave Taub. Special teams was horrible this year. Do you give him a pass, or do you let him come back another year and try to rebound and refix that with what you're working with? I think Nagy's the full one that goes. I think you try to make a splash and get Bieniemy back. You offer him, and don't get me wrong, you could take the Commanders, and he wasn't that great with the Commanders. But if you look at the Commanders' numbers, they're not a great organization either. They've had their turmoil too. Okay? What he's done with the Bears as a running backs coach, it shows he has that ability. It shows that he has that ability. And the problem was, Eric Bieniemy ran a disciplined offensive line. He wasn't afraid to yell. He wasn't afraid to discipline. They didn't have that discipline instilled like they did with Bieniemy. I think if you want to get Bieniemy back, and there's been a lot of talk about Bieniemy lately on social media, if you want to get him back, you're going to have to offer him the offensive coordinator position. Plus, when Reed retires, he becomes the head coach. I think that sounds fair enough. If you want Eric Bieniemy back. Otherwise, another name, Peterson. Doug Peterson. He's very good friends with Andy Reid. He comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree. He was a great offensive coordinator. He has helped develop quarterbacks. That's a position expertise for him as well, too. However, I just don't say you go out year one and say, okay, well, Andy Reid, you get rid of him. That's not going to happen. That would be absurd for somebody to do. There's really nobody better in that position. And yeah, sometimes it's good to do a reset, but not that soon 100%. You statistically look at everything, and I'm going to show this to you because they're comparing everything Patriots to Chiefs. Year 9, Brady tore his ACL. That was actually against the Chiefs, how ironic, but that was at week 1. What happened? He got better. He came out. He proved himself. He won more Super Bowls. I'm not saying Mahomes is going to be the carbon copy of that, but ACL surgery has come a long way. What used to be 6 to 12 months, I think they're projecting about 6 months now. So where he's at right now, Mahomes should be back. Kelsey, does he retire? I want your opinion on that. Honest take. Do you think he retires, or do you think he comes back?
Honestly, something makes me say he could come back for a year, but at the same time, if he is going to start regressing, he needs to go.
He signed the deal that he did. I think it really plays out with him and with Mahomes, and it really works with who he has. I don't really think he stepped into that. I don't think Noah Gray is ready to be the tight end for the Chiefs. I think he has another year or two before. So if Mahomes gets better news that, hey, it's only going to be about 6 months, I think Kelsey, there's a good chance that he does come back, guys. I think there's a good chance that says, okay, I want to try to go out there, knock out another win at a Super Bowl, and see if we can win with a core of this organization and kind of go from there. Try to make some trades in the offseason to kind of negate, maybe restructure some contracts and kind of go from there. Help that salary cap reverse a little bit. And, that's where you're really going to hit. However, a lot's going to play on when Mahomes is going to be back next season. I think the rest of this year, you're not in the playoffs. Let your younger generation core that's going to be coming in start getting some hands on it. Start resting your people. Start allowing to go ahead and see what your future is going to be. Start to mix them in with your current. This year has been just really a cluster for the Chiefs. But unfortunately, that's where it kind of falls in. And I'm not trying to say, whatever. I even had my doubts about them this year as well, too. And here's what I said. And I will tell everybody what I said. The Bills look like the common denominator right there. I could say Bo Nix is going to win it. But if anybody is to win the Super Bowl after this, I'm sticking my support with Josh Allen and the Bills to win it. I'm staying on my AFC side of things. I think the Bills have the best run to win it. What do you think?
No. I don't know. Something lately has been making me say, are they going to let Bo Nix go out on a run and maybe they go have a deep playoff run or maybe even a Super Bowl win? I mean, I still would like to see the Patriots win. I'm going to live up to my dream, and I'm going to say the Patriots win.
You're going to say the Patriots win?
Yeah.
What do you think about that game yesterday?
Well, they blow
it. Look at how many times this season this Buffalo team has come back from being astronomically down. They were down 21 points. Look at the Ravens game they were down. This team is a second half team that comes out and just flips everything around. I'm going with Josh Allen. And you can stick with your Patriots. I think they're good. Don't get me wrong. I love what Vrabel has done, and you got to credit the one man for it, Josh McDaniels. Great offensive coordinator, not a good head coach. Developed Tom Brady, Drake May. Look at it. And you do make good points on that. So what I do like about it this year, and this is where everybody has to look at it, we're seeing a fresh new take of everything out there. We're seeing Caleb Wilson. We're seeing Drake May. Brock Purdy's doing good. He's back. But they also did it with who else? In San Francisco.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of that guy.
But anyway, we're seeing a fresh face. We're seeing Bo Nix. We're seeing the Justin Herbert. We're seeing some new faces. So this is actually good for the NFL to see some better teams out here than what you're used to just seeing. You know, the Chiefs out there, the Lions out there. The Packers are still in that turmoil of everything. And they lost Micah Parsons. He is out for the remainder of this season with a torn ACL as well, too. Yesterday was a torn ACL day. I mean, as sad as it is, but I like what we're seeing. We're seeing teams that never were really there finally making that hump, and that's what's making this football league so exciting for the future. You're starting to see some other teams, and I kind of like the change in scenery for a little bit. It's nice to see the Bears go up there. It's nice to be able to see the Carolina Panthers. Look at them. They're in it. Right now, they're in first place. Correct?
They're tied for first.
Tied for first. Who would have ever expected the Carolina Panthers to be where they were this year? You are seeing a change of trajectory in the NFL landscape, and I'm loving it, guys. It's going to be exciting for the future to come.
Alrighty, so that'll do it for today's video. If you guys want to see more content like this, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button.
And there's one more thing I want to go ahead and say. I know I said I was going to do the Starlink video and it was going to be uploaded yesterday. Unfortunately, I did not get around to that. I have not even done the installation because we have gone through a brutal week last week of cold weather. It was really, really cold, guys. And I'll tell you what, I didn't want to go out there and put the Starlink up with the temperatures. This past weekend was really, really cold as well, too. However, I have a rebound in my area. We're going to be in the 60s by this weekend. So my goal is to have it and have it uploaded next Sunday for you guys to be able to view just in time for the holiday. But anyway.
Alrighty. And like I said, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.